Okay, shall we just
Yeah.
hit the road?
Yep, I did. Hello, everyone. Welcome to your your time starts now, a Taskmaster podcast. We're going to be doing today's episode just a little bit differently in the opening because, as many of you might know, last week, unfortunately, famed British panel show contestant and generally great comedian Sean Locke died tragically of
Yeah.
cancer.
Rip Sean Locke.
So
He was a
we
very
we
funny
did
man.
just want to mention.
I loved 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. He was so funny. He always just everything he did, everything he said was just absolutely perfect.
Uh,
It was just classic
two
British comedy in its finest with Sean Locke.
Two-time Carrot in a Box champion. Just generally a good comedian. Everyone's like favorite fantasy Taskmaster contestant, as he sadly never did make it on the show. We just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, and we paid our respects to him. I
Yeah.
think now, Emerson, if you want to, in the edit, drop in the soundbite of what he wanted his obituary to be, because he mentioned it once on 8 out of 10 Cats.
Okay.
What would you like your obituary to say?
I don't care. I'll be dead. But ideally, I'd like it just to say, no! Why? No! Ah! You can't write tears, Jimmy.
Ooh, I'm not going to lie, that click sounded good because in playback.
You can just edit that out.
Okay.
But yeah, that was
our
that is
condolences.
what Sean would have wanted.
Our condolences go out to Sean's family. Yeah, we're all very sorry, and the nation is extremely not even just my nation. Anyone who's ever seen Sean on anything he's done is extremely heartbroken.
Yeah, it is a tragic loss. We've actually had a couple of very tragic losses to comedy recently. Because for those of you on my side of the Atlantic, Trevor Moore, the one of the guys behind the comedy group Whitest Kids You Know, tragically died in, I swear to God, a freak accident in his yard at home. Which that's very tragic. He was only 41, so we definitely need to preserve our comedians a bit better.
Yeah. Saw a YouTube comment by I can't remember exactly who said it, but I think it was on Sean Locke's best moments on QI. Hang on, I'll just, if I can go back through my history and see if I can see it, I can shout out who. YouTube user Advent3546. The world feels a little dimmer when a comedian dies. Rip Sean. Too right, Advent. Too right.
It is a good way to put it. Now, is there anything?
Should we talk
else
about the
want to say on
absolute
this
disaster
subject?
that was last week's episode?
Yeah, that was what I was about to move on to. That was our bad because
Yeah,
we
something
tried.
happened. I'm the one responsible for editing the episode. Something happened at some point that sort of desynced the tracks, and I was literally just at the end of my tether. It was that day. It was Tuesday.
It's Tuesday before the day we put them up, because we put them up
Tuesday
on a Wednesday.
the 17th, I think it was. Anyway, the date doesn't matter. Anyway, that date was one of the most stressful days of my life. I had to edit the whole podcast in one day, and I'm going to have to edit this episode in just one day too. And I was also lumped into doing a lot of help around the house as well. I had to take some stuff to the charity shop. And on my way to the charity shop, I fell down and injured my hand.
What did you do?
I tripped on a pavement. That bit of the pavement was not even. Thankfully, no one saw.
Dear.
And I'm kind of glad it was that way. But I didn't injure my hand seriously, but I did graze it. So, oh well. Shit happens, I guess.
Yeah, and then it was also kind of my fault because Emerson sent it to me, and then I listened to like 15 minutes of it to make sure that there wasn't anything obviously wrong with the levels or anything. And for those of you who have listened to the new version of episode 3, will notice that the first soundbite is like 25 minutes into it. So I didn't notice, and I didn't really listen to it through when I put it into my video editing software, because my video editing software takes like 2.5 hours to do it, and it takes another 2.5 hours to go up on YouTube. So sometimes I don't get them up until like Wednesday afternoon,
Yeah,
and
it's
I wasn't really paying
pretty
attention.
shit. Yeah. I
So,
think
we
what
would
made
like-
it bearable was that the episode was pretty short by our standards.
Yeah.
I think
Special
the fact
thanks
that
to
our yeah, sorry, continue.
special thanks to friend of the channel Spelvin, who will probably be coming on our Have Your Say episode when we do that, for messaging me through Discord and saying, "Did you mean to do this with the audio being really fucked up?" And no, we didn't.
I know my audio sounded really, really bad anyway. I did a quick test recording beforehand to see if it sounded as bad as it did, and thankfully it didn't. But it was and might come across as a little bit echoey because I started out in a very, very small room. The room's only about 6 feet by 6 feet, and it's a shed in the back of our garden. And I hate to make a reference to a future series, a shed. You've not seen Series 9, have you?
No, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. Rose Matafeo, brilliant comedian, brilliant woman. Yeah, so Joe said I sounded really echoey. So what I did was I just flung my dressing gown over myself and my microphone and my laptop, so I can still.
So Emerson's coming from his fabric grief cave.
Yeah, that's what I. Forget little polythene grief cave, even though that was last week's episode. This episode. I think it's time. I don't really have any banter in my personal life. Do you?
I have. It's not so much banter as it is juicy local gossip that I really want to share.
Whatever it is, keep it short.
We might have to do that on a different day then, because this is not exactly short banter. Basically, my town is in the middle of a. I might have to keep the details for later, but basically, my town's having a bit of local corruption going on, and which we discovered because the city and the fire department are having issues over overtime pay, because the fire department has been responding to it's been responding to emergency services calls for like medical emergencies, which the city doesn't want them to do anymore, because when they do that, they have to call in overtime people to cover if there's actually like a fire. And we have a contract with the local hospital who has their own ambulance service, so we don't need the fire department to do that. Naturally, the fire department, and also the fire department overtime pay is one of the single largest line items in the city's budget deficit. So naturally, cutting down on overtime costs would be good. The fire department is really pissed off about this and is saying that the mayor is making everyone unsafe. And this is just normal back and forth city politicking until the city's public service director basically slammed a receipt down on the table and sort of put this out here, because I'm going to say a phrase here. For those of you in the United States, the phrase "all cops are bastards" might be a phrase you're familiar with. I apparently live in some nega reality, like alternate universe where no, it's all firefighters are bastards, because in the last 6 months, the city has not fired firefighters who have done the following things: surreptitiously placed a tracking device on a citizen's vehicle in order to gain advantage over that citizen in a court case, then followed the guy across 2 county lines and used his status as a reserve sheriff's deputy to get the guy pulled over and almost searched without due cause, has when another firefighter threatened to fail a local businessman's fire inspection if he didn't get overtime for it, didn't fire anyone when the head of the Parks and Recreation Department gave emergency access cards to the rec center in town to the fire department, and then when they discovered that the cards were going to family members of the firefighters instead of being left in the fire trucks for emergency access, they asked for them back, and then one of the firefighters' spouses filed a complaint against the head of the Parks and Rec department and demanded a public apology. They also didn't fire anyone when a firefighter took a fire truck home to plow his driveway while on duty when it snowed. Also didn't fire the firefighters who blackmailed a third firefighter for being involved in the married people having an affair website Ashley Madison, nor did they fire a separate firefighter who used those same Ashley Madison screenshots to try to anonymously get the turn in the other guy and get him fired because they didn't want him to have a promotion. This has all happened in the last 6 months in this town. So apparently the firefighters are sacks of shit. And I'm just flabbergasted by this, especially because we just spent like a couple of $1 million as the local electorate to build them a brand new fire station that went over budget and they had to have a second budget levy for. This is just ridiculous small town gossip, but it's so outlandish that I feel like I have to share it with someone.
Okay.
That we have corrupt firemen.
I don't know. I hope people listen to our podcast for the reason that they want some sort of escapism from the world. And what you've just done is unloaded about 5 or 6 minutes worth of very, very, very specific and very, very, very difficult to relate to politics on the world.
Corrupt firemen is just such a wild concept, though, isn't it? Like, that's not how this works.
It is a pretty bizarre concept, I'll give you that.
Which is why I'm just like you'd expect the police to do this, but the police in town are great. The police in town are actually genuinely nice people.
Well, you're lucky to live in
we're in opposite
an area
land
like
over
that.
here. Yeah, I know. I'm surprised considering, everything that's going on in the world in general. Where we have corrupt firemen. What the shit? Anyways, should we get on with the episode?
I don't believe we actually introduced this podcast at 12 minutes and something in.
Oh my god. I interrupt. I interrupted this episode and I did introduce this episode at the very beginning because I always am about to say the name of another podcast that I listen to. And I'm like, wait, no, I don't listen to this podcast. I'm on this podcast.
Anyway,
so this is, but in case you
gentlemen,
missed it, this is Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast. He's Emerson and I am Joe.
That's right. And today we are tackling episode 4 of series 3 of Taskmaster, a very nuanced character. So Greg introduces the contestants. He mentions his golden trophy. I just want to say this. The trophy is absolutely awful. It looks nothing like Greg. I know that's the whole point of it, though. You know what it reminds me of? You know that I hope I'm got the right person here. But do you see that statue they made of Cristiano Ronaldo outside of an airport or something?
Yes, I do know of which one you're talking about.
I feel like the trophy is a lot like that in the sense that it's...
I've never noticed that it doesn't look like him, but I think what the other thing is they probably made one and then have been just recasting it over and over again. And as Greg gets older, the less it looks like
Josh
him.
has still got his weird karate trophy.
That's just Whitcomb being proud of his achievements. I don't know. I don't know if they make new ones or not.
And to mention Taskmaster New Zealand again, the Taskmaster on Taskmaster NZ is a bloke called Jeremy Wells. The trophy actually does look like him. I'll give them that. Anyway, banter. Alex has been is not. I was going to say promoted to, but that was like last week's banter. Alex is statistically speaking the secondary Taskmaster who will take over if Greg is indisposed, or they might get David Williams.
Unless they can't get David Williams.
You know who David Williams is, right?
You've mentioned him before on this podcast.
Do you know who he is, though?
Yes, Williams and Friend.
Williams and Friend. Oh yeah, that's where I mentioned it from.
You mentioned him very specifically.
Okay, I forgot that moment happened. Okay. Anyway,
I hold on. I'm gonna test my own knowledge of the podcast that I'm on. That was season
I can't give
one,
you a right answer. Season
episodes
one, most likely.
5 or 6. It was one of those and I'm gonna be wrong, but I think it was either 5 or 6 of season 1.
That could be an interesting special episode. I had a couple of ideas for special episodes we could do. One
Trivia
was,
challenge: make Joe remember what he said.
or we could do like a back and forth quiz between each of us. So you ask me questions on what I've said and vice versa.
Yeah, we could.
And the other thing I had in mind, once we've done Champion of Champions, I was thinking maybe we could do a tier list of the series 1 to 5 contestants.
Oh, that would be a very interesting thing to do. Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Just so you don't have to wait long to hear more opinionated stuff on us. Then maybe we'll if we continue into series 6 into 10, we'll probably do one for that too. Anyway, do you want to do the prize task?
If you, the audience, I did it last week. You should do it this week. And if you, the audience, have any other opinions on what we should do for special episodes, please do email us at ytsnpod@gmail.com or leave a comment in YouTube or find Emerson's house and throw a brick through his window with a note attached to it.
Or just fall down my chimney like Santa.
Or fall down his chimney. I don't. We have a chimney that's open.
I don't think our chimney's open. Well, I don't know. Anyway,
fall down my chimney, get blocked by the flue, and die. There's an option.
Prize task: shiniest thing. So Sarah Pascoe is up first. She brings in the Take That single "Shine," brilliant song.
On CD, which is very important because the CD is very shiny as well.
Very true. I don't know who still uses a CD player. I personally don't. Anyway,
I
this
do.
isn't the. Okay, you could probably make some use out of that. I'm not saying it's a worthless prize. It's just saying it's not a worthless prize altogether. It's just might be better suited to some than others. Anyway, it's not the first time Sarah has mentioned Take That on the show. Obviously, her Domino rally was based on Take That.
She has a very
we'll Take That. Welcome to the concert.
That's still such a strange fucking thing. That's such a strange fucking thing. But Sarah has a very love-sadness relationship with Take That.
Very rocky history.
Because
she hopes that if
she
she
liked
loved
them, then they broke up. And then
they broke up in
she discovered
96.
they don't. Then she discovered they don't pay their taxes, and then that's apparently a deal breaker for her.
Yeah.
So, all of that.
Sorry, I'm just trying to move my set around, which is especially difficult under a dressing gown. Anyway, back. Sarah hopes that if she loves Take That enough, they will change for the better and they will start paying their taxes properly. Yeah, you already said that.
I didn't say that specific bit, but yes.
Little Rob Beckett. His 99% completed World Cup sticker album.
Which this is not the first World Cup sticker album we have gotten as a prize. Because I distinctly remember Josh Widdicombe bringing a similarly done sticker book from a different World Cup that was done all the way.
No, I think it was the same World Cup, if I'm being honest.
It might have been. It might have been Rio.
Series 1 came out in sometime in 2015. So, there might have been. Josh obviously had. Actually, it still makes the time. The 2014 Brazil World Cup would have been the most recent World Cup at the time of recording.
Yeah,
obviously, there's since been the Russia World Cup, but that hadn't happened at the time. Qatar is next year, 2022, which interestingly is happening in November and December because it's going to be way too hot in the summer.
Qatar is a desert hellhole.
Exactly.
There's a whole episode that we could do on why, Qatar is awful, but we won't right now.
We might not even do one
busy.
at all. Anyway, this is even in comparison to Josh Widdicombe's prize, this is not good because Josh's sticker album, according to him at least, was 100% complete in nick form.
And
Rob's
it was all straightened out.
Rob's is only 99% completed. So, in that sense, I don't even know why Rob brought it in. He must have seen the first series, or at least had some access to it. Because
he said it had a bunch of shiny stickers.
Yeah, but he's seeing Greg's opinion on football, and Greg has openly said that that he hates football so much to the point where he's in charge, it'd be banned.
Yeah, but the other thing is that Alex has repeatedly said, whenever he's asked about that very question, don't you think people have watched the show? He says, no, they never learn. The contestants never learn. So it's very possible that he didn't or didn't give a shit.
Very, very true. Paul Chowdhury has brought in some Chinese medicine balls. But Paul simply calls them his shiny balls and mimes playing with them in his hands.
Which, we have a set of those somewhere. My parents do.
I know somewhere we've got a set of like bowling green balls. I think they're called boules, pronounced slightly differently. I don't think they're the same as Chinese medicine balls.
They're exactly the same thing. They're in that box even. And if you clack them together, they make a noise because there's some sort of thing inside of them.
Okay.
It's if you're like 6 years old and you're playing with these, it's very fascinating to just clink them together because they make like a very deep sound.
Yeah, they're like, those little magnets you throw together and they get buzzing noises. All right. What Paul does is he suggests that Greg should put the balls in his eyes, and Greg said he would look like a Doctor Who monster, and Dave Gorman says he already does.
Well, that whole conversation is great because this comes after we get to the next one, which is that whole conversation comes from
Almari's brought in a defunct torch.
He's brought in a broken flashlight.
A defunct torch, pretty shit. And that's where
broken flashlight.
The conversation comes in.
Because Al says that Al starts arguing that it doesn't matter because it could work, and then he's saying like, oh, Sarah's thing wouldn't work without a CD player, and then it's like, and then Greg retorts, if I pluck my own eyes out, I won't be able to read his Rob Sticker book, and then they say he could shove them in his eyes and he looked like a Doctor Who villain. It's a very roundabout way. Do you want to drop in the soundbite of that whole argument, or do you just want to drop?
I can drop the soundbite in.
Yeah, my balls are fine. Pop them in. Pop them in your eyes.
I look like a Doctor Who monster. It'd be wicked.
You already do.
Oh, welcome to last place.
Moving on, Dave Gorman has brought in his cycling jacket made from the most reflective material in the world. Plus, there's a light on the back.
Yep, high vis. It's very safe.
Wins
I
in
have
third
a couple
place.
of vests of that for when I go to work.
Wins third place. Paul Chowdhury, 5 points. Sarah 4, Dave 3, Rob 2, and Al Murray, rightly so, gets 1 point.
And now we go to
first task.
Everybody's favorite segment. Everybody's favorite segment of this program, Emerson. Taskmaster Joe.
Yeah. How could I possibly forget? What an idiot I am.
Taskmaster Joe.
I'm so sorry, Joe. What is your opinion?
Yes. Well, I was going to give... Well, first of all, let's just start out with... In the same vein as the last time, with the prizes, I didn't really like any of these as prizes. The task allowed for quite a bit of leeway in fun stuff, but it just didn't do anything. So I was going through this, I almost didn't award anyone first place. I was going to have like joint second because I thought they were all crap. But from the bottom, absolutely Al Murray. If I could take away points, I would, because that's just stupid.
Genuinely, I don't think someone's less understood the prize task than Murray.
I think that's actually might be the worst prize that we've gotten in the show so far.
I'd agree. Sorry for the banging. That was my water bottle.
But then after that, I would give Rob 4th place, not because I don't like soccer, but because it's not
football,
100% complete. It's soccer.
Football.
When it's on this side of anyways, whatever sport it is,
football.
It's not complete. It's not a complete sticker book.
Yeah,
why do I give a shit about an incomplete sticker book? And
you can ask the same question to Greg.
Yeah, and then no 3rd place. I'm going to give 2 people 2nd place. I'm going to give Sarah and Paul 2nd place because I really do like the Chinese exercise balls, and I don't know anything about Take That. I don't know anything about the song, but she's pretty good. Not only have
Take That has some very good classic songs that most British people would know.
Yeah, but I will give her points for doing what Doc Brown couldn't last season when he brought in his average white band thing, and it was like their album was called like Blue or something. It was the coolest blue thing, and we brought in average white band.
Yep.
In like with a blue cover. And so she accomplishes by having the CD called Shine in a CD, which is a very reflective thing. So she gets that, and there's also no obvious color joke. Like if she'd managed to find a band called Shine, that would have been top tier. Like a CD of a band called Shine, that would have been the best one. But she didn't, so she gets 2nd. I did, because high-vis jackets are really useful. Especially especially
if you cycle.
Cycling is fucking dangerous. Because you can just get run over by a truck.
Oh, please don't. I was having this conversation with my mum earlier today.
Well, I mean, if you cycle down the street... Listen.
I'm going to go back to uni in a few weeks, and where I'm going to be living is quite far from where I need to... from the university campus, so I don't really want to walk there. And I don't want to take the bus.
Emerson, but you live in the United Kingdom. There's a whole different level of dangerous here that I'm talking about. Not you. This is like from an American perspective. I mean, you can just ride down like a UK street that's like only slightly bigger than a car, and no one's going to care. Here in the States, like I just came back earlier today from a doctor's appointment in a town about 35 miles away. It takes me almost an hour to get there because it's entirely country roads with 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And I live in an area where there's a lot of Amish people. Amish people, if you're American, you know who they are. If you're English, look them up. But
I know the Amish people from the Weird Al Yankovic parody of Gangster's Paradise.
That's fine. I lived in the town that he had that music video set in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, for a long time. Big Amish country. There's a lot of Amish out here in Ohio too. But these people will ride their little push bicycles because they eschew technology down the side of the road, and 18-wheelers, big SUVs, lifted pickup trucks, people driving over the speed limit all whiz by them. And they also, because of their religious beliefs, that a lot of them don't do bright colors. So if it's dark, they might not be visible. So you should have a high-vis jacket. Also, because of what I'm doing for work right now, I'm on and off a construction site all the time. Having a high-vis vest is very safe to make sure that people don't run you over with a forklift. And if you ever want to get into some place where you're not allowed to be, put on a high-vis jacket, have appropriate work boots and long pants, and carry a clipboard, and you can get in basically scot-free.
Joe, this is very interesting. So can we move on?
Yes.
Good.
That's the end of the prize task, and we're on to task 1. Always have a high-vis jacket on you.
Spread your clothes as far and wide as possible, and the task arrives via plane. Please hit us with it, Joe.
This is This is a very wordy task. Actually, all the tasks in this episode are very wordy. But the task
you
arrives
eating
on a little
something?
model plane. Yeah, I have some jelly beans. I didn't think that was being picked up.
Oh well. Keep
My
going.
bad. So the task arrives on a little model of a P-51 Mustang, as Al correctly identifies later. The task reads, spread your clothes as far and wide as possible at your own expense. They must have realized they were dealing with Al Murray. You must discard 4 items of clothing that you're currently wearing, farthest and widest winds. You have 30 minutes. Your time starts now. Now, this is one of the funnier tasks that I've seen in a while because these people just go absolutely
They've got
fucking
very
insane.
different approaches.
The instant they say this, like all of them just go nuts. So we start with Paul Chowdhury, who spreads his clothing far and wide across the Taskmaster estate. He puts one sock on the airplane that delivered the task. He put his other one on a tree by the caravan in the front gate. He put, I think it was either a shirt or some leggings because they didn't look like anything else he could have been wearing at the moment.
I'm not sure what
over
it was.
I don't
Over the
know what it
fence.
is either. Over the fence to the back, which would have put it on the golf course that this property is attached to.
Yep.
And then he puts one tree on the sock. He puts one sock on a tree in the back of the estate that's in the corner we don't see because the house is in front of it. Then he tries to fly the model airplane with his sock on it away.
And it crashes twice.
This does not go very well for Mr. Chowdhury in the slightest.
Yep,
And
literally, he
the
lost.
plane.
Mild spoiler
the plane
alert, he
crashes.
lost this task by a very, very, very large distance.
Yeah, Paul did not do very well at all, and he only has himself to blame for this. But also, just everyone questioning him on why he did that is also a very funny thing.
Do they cut to the ad breaks at this point, or is that the next person?
We do cut to the ad break right
Oh,
here,
great!
which
Because we've got
everybody
a solo task.
everybody loves Paul Chowdhury. He's just an incredible
Even me,
piece
to an
of work
extent, I know.
in this. And so to reward him, they set him his own special task where he is instructed to have the most fun as he can in 1 hour in a bouncy house.
Or a bouncy castle.
I do. Bouncy castle, I apologize. I do love just the way he says 1 hour. Like he's shocked he has to have fun for that long. And
I have a theory about this task, actually. Believe it or not.
You do, really?
I do.
Well,
and I want to
let's
make
have
this
it.
very, very quick. I believe that this task is actually an inconclusive experiment, or at least an experiment that doesn't have the final result reported, trying to test whether time flies when you're having fun.
Really? What makes you say that?
Well, think about it. Paul has got to have the most fun as possible in a time span that everyone considers to be really stupidly unnecessarily long. So they're hoping to, if by having him have as much fun as possible, he forgets how long he's doing it. And hopefully he's having so much fun to the point that when the hour's up, he says, "No, mate, that wasn't an hour. That's out of order, mate."
Now, that's a very interesting thought. Who is putting on this experiment?
Alex Horn, he writes the tasks. It's a theory.
That's a very interesting. It's a very interesting theory that I'm not sure I get, but I'll have to think on it a bit longer.
Well,
I was just thinking.
I don't want to repeat myself over and over again because I don't. Like I said, I want as little editing work as possible.
Yeah,
and your rants have not helped. But oh well.
No, I get what you're saying. I don't think I.
You don't agree with it.
I fully follow. Yeah. I think it's more that like they were thinking who is the least fun person of this group? It's Paul. He doesn't emote. Let's make him have fun.
I still think that there's part of this is the whole point of the task is to get Paul to say no, that's not an hour. It didn't go by that quickly, and the only way to get him to do that is to have as much fun as possible.
No, I think if they'd wanted to do that, they would have just gaslighted him and made him think it was an hour, but after it was only like 10 minutes. That's much more in line with the casual like sociopathy that Taskmaster and Mister has.
Sorry, I am on a very creaky chair in a very, very little room.
Oh, so is
in a shed.
So is mine. Mine is very creaky. It's an old busted office chair that I've slowly am wearing into the ground because I'm too lazy to get a new one. Anyways, moving right along, Sarah and Dave are shown next. They are shown together, but I did my best to say what each person did individually. Dave Gorman
Rips his shirt off.
does a very impressive thing, because I wouldn't have done this. He does, in fact, slice his shirt into with a knife. He climbs the tower that's next to the building, the Taskmaster house, because they're not allowed to climb the house, but he does climb that. He then takes a bus, leaves his sock on board the bus, gave another sock to a cyclist who was presumably willing to carry Dave's sock, but
Well, they
not
were willing to carry it 'cause
sign
they
a
took it.
release form. But not to sign a release form to have his face be shown on television, because his face was blurred out. And then
Taskmaster likes to censor a lot of things, and it also doesn't like to censor a lot of things.
So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, and then moving on to Sarah. Sarah starts by taking her jacket and putting it on the fence. She doesn't put it over the fence like Paul did. She just put it on the fence. She runs out to the Thames and puts a piece of wood inside one of her socks and throws it into the river, expecting it to bob away, which, as she will note in a little while, she misunderstood the task, because the task was wherever that was at the end of the half hour. And Sarah was thinking that it would, if she threw it in the river, it would continue moving, which would give her much more breadth or depth or width or whatever metric they want to go by.
Width.
By the time
Because they want it
measure
as wide as possible.
Width. Yeah, as far and as wide. So she sort of misunderstood the task, which also explains why many of her immediate decisions in tasks like this is to run as quickly as possible. I believe she ran 1.6 miles during this task, which is impressive. And then
is this where Greg mimes the action of running like Forrest Gump?
Maybe.
Well, he does it at one point.
Greg makes a lot of fun faces and actions in this episode.
No, but I just want to say, because Greg mimes running at one point to emphasize his point of how Sarah runs. And because I watched the episodes on a fast speed, it's hilarious.
But
because he's just like
Sarah's fun.
Literally in like less than a blink of an eye, he's just sitting casually, and the next second he's just pumping his arms with his tongue out like a psychotic dog.
I believe that was this episode.
Yeah, it was.
And then
I saw it when I watched it yesterday.
Yeah. And then Sarah's final destination is Kew Bridge Station. KEW
I've been
Bridge.
to the station a couple times.
I don't know what rail operator runs it now, but at the time it was Southwest Trains. Because there was a Southwest Trains.
Southwest Trains.
She did not actually get on the train because the timer ran out just as the train arrived on the opposite platform from her. If the train hadn't showed up at all, we could make the ever topical Southwest Trains joke that it hasn't shown up yet.
Yep, I do know that the right. I think actually, I want to make sure I get this right. I was gonna say, I think it's the right-hand platform as you go in that terminates at Waterloo Station.
Well,
and I used to take that train semi-regularly. So if I don't know, I'm going to look like an idiot. Anyway, should we move on to Al and Rob?
Yeah. Yep. They both use vehicles. Rob does this much more economically than Al does. he takes he has Alex drive him around in the Taskmaster van, which is as I've said, it's a white Ford Transit Connect.
Yep. And he just drops his clothes off at random points.
Yeah, he throws them out the window.
And all this time, Rob has got this big old smile on his face. His wind-up chattering teeth are in full view the whole time.
And
it's brilliant.
He ends by tossing his pants out the window as they're driving right at the end of it, which is just hilarious. He's sitting in the van in only his underwear, which is just perfect. That's exactly how he wanted to do it.
No more poetic image than that.
Then we get Al Murray, who called 2 cabs. Actually, he only called one. He then flagged down a second one. Has Alex takes his hat and his jacket and has him deposit them somewhere far away. I don't know where he did, but they were in a park somewhere. Then he and another person from the production staff.
Al takes the other taxi home.
He takes the cab home and gets in his car, drives somewhere else. I believe at one point he leaves a production assistant standing in the middle of the street holding his coat. Because
I think that was Alex with the other taxi.
Well, either way, Al did not want to lose these things. I wonder how, because everybody else was content with like losing items of clothing. Al was not having that. So
I don't think I'd be super content with it either, if I'm being honest.
I wouldn't
because
either,
I take pride in pretty much all my pieces of clothing.
Oh yeah, no, I love all my clothes, but I would have like. I'm not entirely certain what I would have done, but it would have been a hell of a thing. I would have tried to find I definitely would have fallen into the trap of Sarah Pascoe, where I would have assumed that it had to keep moving, because I was thinking I would have run to the post office and like mailed my shirt to my house in America.
Very good
and that
idea.
would have gotten it very
good
far.
idea on paper, but not so great in the. Also,
Yeah.
do you remember
And then
in the very first episode of Series 3 we did? We would calculate how much money Al spent so far.
I was about to get to that because it's also said after the fact, Al also apparently paid a gentleman to take his shirt in a third direction on foot while he and Alex went in vehicles. A total is mentioned partially. Alex's cab fare was £60.
I don't think that goes towards Al though, because Alex.
Well, no, Al
for
paid for Alex's cab.
Yeah, but Alex says he's trying to sell a sofa, so I assume he's trying to sell the sofa to pay back the money for the cab that he paid for.
No, I think that was just that he was selling a sofa and was using it as free advertising. But it is mentioned then that apparently, all told, Al had spent £340
that day. Wow,
which is well, that's what it's mentioned at the end. Either Alex has been keeping a tally of what Al has spent,
including the first cab. That's 490. I think we set the gong at about £50. Did we?
Yeah.
So that Al's budget so far the series is circa £540.
Yes, somewhere around that. Al Murray, if you're listening to this and want to correct us in any way, please do get in touch with us at ytsnpod@gmail.com.
Anyway, the distance is covered. Al Murray, obviously, I would say obviously, yeah. 6.2 square miles. It's the farthest.
Then we've got Rob. We've got 2.7 square miles.
Not bad. Dave Gorman, 0.3. I would thought
and
he got
Sarah,
more,
who misunderstood the task, and
0.02.
Because they both misunderstood far and wide. And then we get Paul Chowdhury.
0.00001 square miles. And the scores at this point, very interesting. Everyone is on 6 each. Everyone's on 6 points.
I even had that written down. I never write down the scores.
Is the next ad break here, or is that a bit later?
That is a little bit later. I believe it's right after the introduction of the second task, which
Okay.
my notes open with Gorman is a time traveler.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the second task, find out what this gentleman did for a living, but he can only reply falsely.
And you must whisper at all times, and he can only nod or shake his head.
Exactly.
This
the
takes
gentleman
place
in
in the
question
lab.
is called Hugh, and at the time of recording, he was 81.
He was was he 83 or 81?
I think they said he was 81.
Well, he's an octogenarian.
So
and
that means he's in his
looks-
80s.
Yes. And the fun fact is that he looks a bit like Alex, to the point where everyone thought that he was his dad. But
The
is
face
dressed
Alex
like,
pulls at this point is... I love this face.
It's hilarious.
Should we make
But
it the
he
thumbnail?
I was actually thinking there's a different screenshot of a face that Greg made later. That
Can you send
actually
it to me?
Yes. But actually, at the same time, Hugh is also dressed like he is Dave Gorman from the future.
Yeah, because Dave Gorman does all of his tasks in like a long sleeve plaid shirt.
Yeah.
And Hugh's also wearing a long sleeve plaid shirt in very similar color scheme. So they have to find out what Hugh does for a living. Should we say what Hugh did for a living now and see if we can pronounce the word right?
Yes. Although you say it first.
Okay. He was an anesthetist.
Now you see, this is very interesting because my parents do work in the My parents do work in the medical field, so I knew what this man did for a living when they said it, but I've only heard it as anesthesiologist, which is somehow easier to say.
Anesthesiologist.
Which is, I'm not sure if...
It rolls off the tongue better, so I think that's why
I'm not sure if anesthetist or anesthesiologist are the same position. I bet they are.
I think anesthesiology is the overall study of it.
Yeah, but this must be like the difference, like soccer versus football.
I mean, say you wouldn't call them. I mean, like an archaeologist, you wouldn't call them an archaeist or something.
Now I got to look this up. Keep talking while I look this up.
Okay, so what Rob does instead of everyone sits directly opposite Hugh except for Rob, who's sitting perpendicular to him, right at the corner of the table. At the closest corner to the table facing the camera. And he asks him a bunch of questions. When he gets to the doctor route, this happens with a couple of competitors, but when they reach the doctor point, Alex asks them what specific type of doctor. And,
so
Rob asks if he was Dr. Pepper or I think it was Dr. Doolittle, the second one.
Yeah, there are a bunch of different things. So I have the anesthesiology Wikipedia page pulled open. Terminology differences: U.S. anesthesiologist, Europe, including UK, anesthetist, and then Australia has it pronounced the same as the UK but spelled differently.
Okay.
Because Australia has it spelled ANESTHETIST, and Europe has it ANASTHEITIST.
What was the different letter spelling? Very quickly.
There's a second A in the European spelling.
Okay, and do they remove that A in Australia?
Yes.
Okay, right.
But and then there's the United States who calls it anesthesiology.
Right.
So
I've got nothing to say more on that.
But yeah, I did like how I actually did have the note is that Rob and Paul did cotton on very quickly that he was a doctor, but are both hamstrung by their lack of medical knowledge.
Exactly. Paul finds out he's a doctor at some point, and when Alex says that he needs to be he needs to find out what specific type of doctor. Paul says, easily one of the funniest things, not only of the episode, but probably of the series.
Are you a doctor? He's a doctor. What sort of doctor, Paul? Oh, for fuck's sake, you fucking...
And then
it's just so perfect. And Hugh's reaction to it, because he's very bit. At this point in time, Hugh's been a very, I wouldn't say static, but he's been very, very blunt in his emotions, like what he's presented on his face. Like he will like do a very simple smile or a very simple frown, and then when Paul swears quite manically in front of him, he laughs. He breaks character basically, and I found that very funny. I didn't write down all the things Paul said, but I did write down that he asked Hugh if he got involved with the nurses and made a grand total of 15 sexual references throughout.
Also asked him if he was Dr. Dre, a rent boy, and several other things, and swore 23 times.
The 15 sexual references is. I'm so sorry if something keeps bumping. This bloody dressing gown keeps bumping my pop filter. And also what happens is I've got my headphones plugged into my microphone for a change so I can monitor it. And honestly, it sounds like I'm listening to myself perform ASMR in real time.
Oh no, you're getting speech jammed. That's the worst.
What, you didn't hear me?
No. When you have it plugged into your headphone, when you can hear yourself talking, there's a thing that happens sometimes called getting speech jammed.
Where I kind of like it, not gonna lie.
Well, no, you should listen to some clips of people getting speech jammed, because it basically screws with their head, and it knocks their brain's speech processing out of calibration, so they just can't talk.
I mean,
correctly.
I'm doing all right, I think.
Maybe
imagine if we did an entire episode in ASMR.
No.
Hello and
welcome
to Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast.
I could only do it by shouting directly into my microphone like this. Hello, this is ASMR. I have the microphone stuck into my mouth, basically. This would not end well for you, the audience, or you, because you're listening to this.
I've just taken my headphones out so I can't hear exactly what you're saying, and in case you're doing exactly what I think you're about to do. But that was not as bad.
Oh, I can hear you through your through your headphones.
That's going to sound so trippy.
I can hear me through your headphones.
The reason I took them out is so that you didn't do what I thought you were going to do when I said that it didn't really affect me, and that was bellow at the top of your lungs.
Mm-hmm. You know me so well, Emerson.
I do.
If we do an ASMR episode, I'm going to turn all my noise cancellation software off and just show up with a bag of chips and just eat them one at a time.
All right, we need to keep moving. I don't want any much more editing.
Your mukbang starts now.
Anyway, Rob took a not bad 10 minutes 5 seconds. Paul a little bit longer, 42 minutes and 7 seconds. Sarah and Dave Gorman.
That's a lot. That's a lot of a difference.
Sarah and Dave Gorman. I honestly have nothing to say about Sarah at all. She just asks the questions, reaches the doctor bit, and keeps going down the route until she eventually gets it.
She did ask if he made babies in test tubes or studied urinary tract infections.
That's true. To which the
very
answer was,
specific questions.
Yeah, that's very true. Dave Gorman goes the alphabet approach, and because his job starts with A, he was able to reach it very quickly. But from then he just had to go through all the categories of jobs that begin with A, and he couldn't think of a whole lot. But he was able to get Hugh's job in 4 minutes 21 versus Sarah's 8 minutes 31. And Al goes. He does a similar thing to Rob. He asks the questions, but he gets to anaesthetist in 2 minutes 8 seconds. I just said the word without thinking about it, and I think I said it perfectly.
I would like to also give credit to Greg and Alex, who said nobody can do it faster than Dave could, and then
they show Al.
And then Al, and then they show Al, and it was a very good thing. Al claimed that he had basically read the vibes of this guy, because he had a cousin who was an anesthesiologist or an
Or an
anesthetist. And he got it on his third guess. He claimed that he knew because Hugh had soft hands, and got the same vibe as he did off of his cousin.
But Greg threatens to disqualify Al
For not whispering.
And then he says he's joking, and he says a quote that I relate to a lot. He says,
Like me, please like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously Al wins the task. Dave came second, Sarah third, Rob fourth, and Paul last. So which means the scores go: Al's in the lead on 11, Dave's on 10, Sarah's on 9, Rob's on 8, and Paul is on 7. I think we skipped over a couple of the continuations on Paul Chowdhury's second task, but at some point, someone throws a bunch of footballs or stuff at him, and the next he's just lying down on the...
Yeah. He does seem to be having a very nice time.
I'll tell you what, though, if I was on that bouncy castle, I would probably just lie face down for the last 45 minutes.
Oh no, I'd be having fun. I'd probably have roped Alex into it too.
I think that'd be funny to watch though. I saw this I can't remember the source of it, but it was like an edited Club Penguin meme image kind of thing. I don't know exactly what to call it, but it was like there was a caption that was like things are really heating up at the Club Penguin dance floor kind of thing, and it was like an outside shot of it. Then you cut to the inside, and the dance floor is completely deserted. Except for one penguin who's just lying face down.
That joke would make a lot more sense if I knew what Club Penguin was. I don't know what Club Penguin is.
Oh, dear. You've got a lot to learn, my friend. You've got a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm. But
everyone, please feel free to bombard Joe with comments hating him that he does not know what Club Penguin is. But please send them to the email address of ytsnpod@gmail.com and mention specifically that they are for Joe.
Well, you should also comment on our YouTube channel, because that way we get engagement and the algorithm will pick this up.
Very true.
Yes. Moving on to task 3, we get a team task in what is probably the least wordy task of the entire episode outside of the prize task. Make the most special effect. You have 1 hour. They are they're in a room in the Taskmaster house. It is covered in green paper because they're obviously green screening stuff. And they even have the little P-51 come in model and deliver the task again. Al correctly identifies that it is a P-51D, specifically the D model. I'm not as well versed on World War II era aircraft as I'd like to be. So I'm not entirely certain how he came to that determination, but he's probably got a very good estimate. We start off, and really they don't show anything of how it's done at all.
Yeah, no, they don't.
And so we just have to go directly into the films. So first we have the Beards, Al, Paul, and Dave. They are playing. Paul and Dave are playing soccer. The soccer ball flies across the park they have green screened themselves into, hits Al in the head, and Al's head flies off and then is used as a soccer ball before being kicked back onto his head.
But not before being kicked up high into the air to Al's horror, passing the plane. What was it called again?
The P-51 Mustang.
The P-51 Mustang.
Do you want to put the soundbite of Sarah Pascoe explaining how this film worked?
Because I'll just honestly, put it in. Putting soundbites in isn't hard. It's just like more the length of time I'm concerned with. But I think we'll be okay.
Can we talk through the narrative of the film?
I could talk you through it, because I watched it. What it is... I don't want to be too much into it, but at the beginning there's a man who's got a head, but another head on top of the head. But he's hidden one of his heads is reading the paper, and the other head is Al Murray, the comedian. Am I I right so far?
Well, I had no idea it was an autobiographical piece.
And then the ball hits it, and then Al Murray's head is in the air. You're like, oh no, I'm really worried about Al Murray. And then occasionally...
Can I stop you, Sarah?
Yeah.
I'll just tell you now that I don't know whether people will be going, oh no, I'm worried about Al Murray, because Al Murray's disembodied head was smiling throughout.
Also, sometimes for the viewer who might get scared too easily, he occasionally just came out of the green screen so you can see his trousers and had to remember what it was and stop worrying. It's all
Yeah, that's
pretend.
special. That's a special effect.
Yeah, it's very
That
unusual.
was one of our special effects. Was
Yeah,
to keep-
sometimes the word special can mean bad.
And then we have, actually, in between this and Sarah and Rob's film, we do have another Paul interlude, which my entire thing says, Paul Task, he's still having fun. That's it. He's just on the bouncy castle. I believe he's getting a
Cuddle from
shoulder
Alex.
massage from Alex, which seems...
Alex is the bitch boy, basically.
We all have our own idea of fun, and that's Paul's idea of fun.
We don't have
but
an
anyways-
episode title yet, do we?
No, I don't know yet what we're going to call it.
I know what. We'll go. I'll feel like I haven't let you a lot of what you've said go with be a lot of episode titles. So I'll be nice and we'll probably call it Corrupt Firemen or something.
Oh, that's great. That'll be great. But anyways,
Is
on
it Corrupt
to
Firemen or Corrupt Firefighters?
Corrupt Firemen. That's what it should be.
Okay, even if that's not what you said in the beginning.
Corrupt firemen, all corrupt firefighters, something like that.
Whichever one you say in the beginning is the one we'll go
Yeah.
with, okay?
Great.
But yeah, we'll go with that.
And then on to Rob and Sarah's film. Rob and Sarah have, through the edit of jump cuts and quick edits, magical disappearing objects as a relationship falls apart. They make up a lot of subtext in the immediate aftermath of this film, more so than in the film, because
We'll play
the base.
We'll play the soundbite.
We'll just play the entire audio of the film. Okay, that'll
Yeah,
work.
because this one you can actually play all the audio for. And I should say the pinging noise is Rob Beckett making a very over-exaggerated wink at the camera.
Yeah, it's sort of like Q snapping his fingers in Star Trek to change something.
Okay, soundbite.
Hey, Rob, do you like my new shoes?
What shoes?
My shoes have disappeared.
No, they haven't.
These aren't mine.
What about these?
I've never seen these before in my life.
Here you go, then.
Rob, this is ridiculous. Can you just give me back my shoes?
Coming right up.
Oh, phew. Thank gosh you've stopped mucking around with shoes. And I asked you not to use magic in the house.
We're not in the house.
Rob, how are you going to magic yourself out of a divorce?
I'll find a way. Nice shoes.
Yeah, this one's very. I like this one a lot. It's where the very nuanced character title comes in.
This was a very elaborate explanation developed on the spot. My favorite line of this was, "The shoe didn't fit emotionally," which came out of Paul Chowdhury in a surprisingly articulate review of this film.
Yeah. That's a very sophisticated thing to say,
because
Paul Chowdhury, which directly contrasts to something he says in the next episode.
Which
I
we
won't
should
mention
note
it.
that if it's not made clear in the soundbite, at the end of the episode, at the end of the film, Sarah's character is replaced with a man. So everyone's saying that like the shoe didn't fit emotionally, this relationship wasn't working, and Rob's character found himself with a gay man. So it's like, it's like there's this whole subtext they pulled out of nowhere, and it's funny.
Yeah, and in the soundbite, Greg compares Rob's over-exaggerated wink to that of a gay magician. And also, obviously, throughout the series, in the team tasks, Rob and Sarah have been compared to have been called
Brother and sister.
Yep. And this time they're playing a married couple.
Which, boy, does... Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We're broadcasting live from the pits of Alabama. It's Your Time Starts Now. Anyway,
Oh, wait, hang on. I was making notes earlier, and obviously Rob does his chimp face when suggesting King Kong. And Paul compares films such as Independence Day to Big Mama's House.
Big Mama's House. Which...
I want to see if there's ever like a film task again. Great idea for a bonus content. Once we've seen like enough films made by the contestants, we should create the Greggies parody of the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Taskmaster film.
Yeah.
We won't announce the Greggies yet. We'll probably do it maybe a lot later. But at some point we might open up nominations and you can say which ones you think might win. Or you should win.
But
that'll be a fun idea though.
Yeah, the Greggies. We should get like some really terrible medal that we can send to each person or something.
We'll probably just send them an image of Greg's trophy head.
An email, yes. But finally, on to the live task, which I believe is you, Emerson.
It is me indeed. Live task: wearing a blindfold, cover yourself in sticky notes. And
the sticky notes must be applied individually, and the person with the most sticky notes still applied to their body after 100 seconds wins. This is a really fucking wordy task.
I'd say it's pretty simple, though. And Paul
immediately asked... It's long. It's very long.
I mean, it didn't seem long originally, but I am so sorry. I'm moving this bloody...
Well, when you're writing... I write all of these down. I write all of these down verbatim, so it's always like, God damn it! What happened to most melon wins? Or eat me, fastest wins.
Well, I mean, we had Release Alex fastest wins.
Yeah. But
anyway, Paul immediately asks if they should take off all their clothes, and Greg says, "No, mate, don't do that."
And then also, we should note that Sarah isn't wearing any shoes because Rob winked and made them go away.
Even though they're very plainly right next to her. And also, Rob asks if they can put sticky notes on the insides of their clothes, which they cannot do, which is a shame because he wanted to stick all those sticky notes in his pants. We don't need to know about... We didn't need to hear that, did we?
Not really.
And if anything, it's kind of sad that he said that. What Rob should have probably done was say,
well, maybe he's wearing
one of
the
other male contestants would need to do it.
Maybe he's wearing big pants.
Maybe.
But,
anyway, I've really got no notes on this.
No, I don't either, because it's like, okay, here's theater of the mind for the audience. Picture someone wearing a blindfold, sticking Post-it notes to themselves. Imagine that for 100 seconds. Can we just have like 100 seconds of dead air, or like with like a little jingle playing?
Well, I know what I'll do. I will Google most annoying royalty-free music I can find.
Oh, don't make it annoying. Don't make it annoying. Just have it be like do 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 for 100 seconds. And picture whatever you want to. It's that. It's people sticking sticky notes to themselves. We can't make it interesting because it wasn't interesting to begin with.
Okay. Anyway, scores. Paul Chowdhury is last on 1. Al got 2. Sarah gets 3. Dave 4 points. Rob 5 points.
Which, just to say, Paul got 29 sticky notes. Al got 31. Sarah 33. Dave 40. Rob 45. Because they did say, and so we do have a winner for the episode.
It's a first-time winner as well, Mr. Dave Gorman,
who goes up and collects his prizes.
Yeah. It's very, very close at this point as well. We've had 4 episodes and 4 different winners. Which
I'm not sure when the last time that happened.
All that's needed is for Sarah Pascoe to win episode 5, and there's a complete set.
And there was also a
Obviously,
change in the overall season leadership as well.
Yeah, Rob Beckett took charge of the series from this point onward.
Yeah.
It's now his game to lose from this point onwards.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, when I first watched Series 6, I had a hunch that Rob Beckett was going to prevail victorious over the likes of the two old men and Paul Chowdhury and Sarah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
we'll draw this to a close in a little bit.
yeah, this is actually, goddamn, this is an hour 9. This is one of the shortest episodes we've gotten, and we had full banter and everything else.
Yeah, I think this is a good sign, if I'm being honest. It means that we're able to not go off on tangents as much, although maybe an episode where we just talk would be quite fun.
Oops, all tangents. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, a full 3 hours of just us bitching.
Oh my god. But yes, that unless you have anything else, I believe that draws this episode to a close at an hour 10.
Do I have anything to say?
Like,
other than
share,
the fact that we've got
subscribe.
one more episode of Series 3 left. We will be taking another break after Series 3. I will be going back to university, and in the beginning, I probably won't have a lot of time.
We are going to try and record a Have Your Say episode immediately following the end of the season. So if you want to say something about this show or about Taskmaster or say how stupid we all are, well, actually, we won't let you on if you say that last one. But if you want to say something,
Imagine if we don't
come
get
on
any responses to that.
I think we've got one lined up.
Okay, well, one's better than none.
Yeah.
And it would be good to have a brand new perspective on Taskmaster as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been Emerson.
I've been Joe.
And Alex has been Alex.
And I don't have anything else. Goodbye.
Bye, bitches.